So I'm going to talk you through the reading that we've got for this month. And June is Pride Month, so this is a spread which is inspired by that. And before I go into the spread, I would just like to say to our members of the LGBTQIA plus community who are here, I see you, I love you, I want you in the world. I know things are really tough in some places right now. Do not let the bastards grind you down. Keep finding joy, keep finding meaning, and keep being who you are. So with that, we'll go into the spread for June. So we've got, I have to count them now, we've got 8 positions here on the board with me. And right at the very top, we've got love, because that's what we need in the world, isn't it? We need some love. So with us for the month of June, we'll call in that energy of love with this reading. Below that, in these next two, this next pairing will be celebration. Celebration of all that we are, how we are in the world, and protest. As I say, this month's spread is modelled or is inspired by Pride Month, and Pride is both a celebration and a protest. And now more than ever, we have to protest marginalisation and wrongdoing of any kind, don't we? So we have room this month for both celebration and protest. Below that, the next position in the spread is community. So this is about how we can be together in community, how we can create community, how we can lift each other up in community, and how we can relate in community. So that's this position there. We've got another 2 below that, which are attraction and identity. So attraction can be anything, can be who attracts us, but also what attracts us, what piques our interest this month. And identity. How are we? Who are we? Ourselves and in ourselves this month. And then underneath, we've got resources. And I wanted there to be 2 spaces for resources, so that we have options about there may be more resources coming to us in the month, and I invite everybody here to be open to more resources, but at least 2, so that we have some options. So that is the spread for the June reading. And before we go ahead and shuffle, the deck that I'm using today is the Next World Tarot by Christy Road, which is a lovely tarot. And it's, I believe that, if not all, certainly most of the figures who appear in this deck are based on people that the artist knows. So it's a reminder that we have archetypes all around us in our everyday, in our communities. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath and just ask to receive what you need. So our first card then, our first position of this reading is love. And the card that comes out for this is the 3 of Wands. And I love this for this position of love, because the 3 of Wands is a card of looking to the future. And what other way is there really to look to our future other than with love? What else can we want in our future if not love? So it's an invitation, I believe, to approach our future with love. Now, in this card, the legend is foresight, and the wands, of course, are the suit of fire, of creativity, passion, and inspiration. And so, yes, we're looking to the future, and we're looking to what inspires us. We're looking to what what feeds our passion. And this person here is in a library of some kind. It's a library, looks like an outside library. So perhaps made in a situation that's not as expected, but it is a library of some kind. And I believe this does represent resources. We can create the future that we want only by using the resources that are available to us. And one of the resources that is available to us is knowledge. We on the planet today have so much knowledge that our ancestors just never had. Or even if some of them did, we couldn't all access it at the touch of a button. Now, with access to knowledge comes the need for wisdom as well, because, of course, not everything you read or see on the internet is true. But nevertheless, we do have access nowadays to a lot more knowledge than ever we've had. So I think for this first position of love, we have an invitation to remember that passion, inspiration, creativity matters. An invitation to use the resources available to us, and particularly resources of knowledge and the communication of knowledge. Books represent the communication of knowledge and the availability of knowledge, and of course the library, the community availability of knowledge. And to look to the future with love. That's our invitation for this month of June. So it's a nice, positive and inspiring. So our next position then is celebration. So what can we be celebrating this month? And it's more wands, and it's actually the next card in the wands suit, which is the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is really is the perfect card for celebration. It is about community celebration, the kinds of things that we might celebrate in community and in wider community, not just sort of friends and family, but wider community members. So things like the Pride Festival is a perfect example of what the Four of Wands might represent. Also things like milestones, births, coming of age, unions, all those kinds of celebrations of life. So all of these are embodied in the Four of Wands. So it's almost like with the card of celebration coming up in the position of celebration, it's almost like the cards are telling us, yes, go ahead and celebrate. It's okay for us to do that. And it's appropriate for us to do that. And this is the energy of the month. So make sure to celebrate. So that can mean for us to celebrate in communities, to celebrate each other in community, and to celebrate ourselves as well. So really, it is an invitation to, and again with the wands, it's about creativity as well. You can see this person there is playing an accordion, lovely instrument there, and the wands are lights that are sort of lighting them, and they are there playing music, so playing a tune which matters to them. So we do have this as an invitation to celebrate this month, whether there is something in your personal life or in your community that it's time to celebrate. The cards giving you a nice big yes for that. And I think it's an important reminder sometimes of celebrations. It can be tempting when we achieve something or something happens to kind of go straight on to thinking of the next thing that needs to be done, or kind of perhaps if we had a different idea of how it might turn out, kind of focus on that instead. So it is a reminder that, actually celebration is valid in and of itself. Our next position then is protest. And there is a need for protest in the world this month. There's plenty to be protesting about. And I'm going to assume a shared attitude within this community of common decency and compassion for all human beings, and assume that we're all on the same page there. So protest. Wow, this is a really interesting one to come up in this position. It's the King of Cups. So the King of Cups, the cups are about the emotions. The heart can also be about sort of intuition and sometimes the unconscious. The suit of water. So we've got two kind of fiery cards there, and then we've got water here, kind of balancing it out a bit. So it's not all fire this month. And the King of Cups is someone who is at peace with their own emotions. That doesn't mean that their emotions are always peaceful or even easy. But it means that they have the maturity. The kings and the queens, the monarchs in the tarot are the mature court cards. You've also got pages and knights who tend to be a little bit less mature. So the King of Cups is someone who is emotionally mature. And this can represent you, someone you know, or an attitude, a way of being. And in this reading, because it comes up in this position of protest, I think it's an invitation to really kind of hold space. And I know there are, we all have different relationships to protest. I know there are people who are out there fighting every day and night. And for you people, this is your invitation to come and sit and just have a cup of tea now and then. It's okay for you to take a breath. And there is more than one way to protest. And I think there is something very radical, very revolutionary about tending to your needs, about being aware of your emotions and where you have a tendency particularly to respond emotionally, what your emotional needs are, of cultivating this kind of maturity. So it doesn't have to be all fire and action, but actually kind of really going into what matters. And the King of Cups knows what matters as well. So, there's a space for rest here. And I think for all the different ways that there are of protest, and sometimes that's sort of planned activism, sometimes that's marching on the street, sometimes that's writing letters, working within the law, sometimes it is very reactive because something happens that sparks protest. Sometimes, and this, I notice that this person, the King of Cups, is in a wheelchair, and I'm a wheelchair user myself. And sometimes I feel that just going places in my wheelchair and demanding access, because not everywhere is wheelchair accessible, is a form of protest in itself. And that every time I do that, I'm doing that not just for me, but for every other wheelchair user out there. So sometimes just being very, very sure and certain of your right to be in the world is protest enough. And I think we have an invitation to this gentle protest here. So I'm just going to place that up here. I was going to put it across here, but I'm going to bring it in a bit because I'm twisting my back, reaching across the board. I hadn't thought this through properly. So I can slide that across now. So we have the King of Cups for protest. Our next position is community. So how can we be in community? How can we support each other in community? How do we show up in community? Who are we when we are in our communities? And for most humans, we have lots of different roles, don't we? So, who we are at home, in our family, with our lover, with our friends, in our wider community, in our professional roles. They can all be very, very different. So perhaps who are we in community as well, but certainly how are we in community and how can we be in community? And we've got the Seven of Cups. So I love this here because it's a card of options, of trying things on. I think perhaps trying on, as I just said about different roles, how we can be different people, different times. Here you've got a person who has their wardrobe open and they're trying on different things, and they've got this beautiful dress and they're sort of standing there showing it off to us, and looking absolutely gorgeous as well. The Seven of Cups traditionally is about how we make choices, and sometimes it can be about having too many options, or having confusing options, not really knowing what we want. So sometimes with those Seven of Cups, it can be that the Seven Cups are presented to us and we don't know which one is best for us because we didn't have an objective in the first place. We didn't know what we wanted in the first place. So how can we know which of those cups actually fits us? But I really like this interpretation of us because it's an invitation to try things on. So whatever your relationship with community, whether you're very community involved, whether you're not, if you'd like to be in community, if there are new communities you'd like to be part of, or to create, or different ways that you'd like to be in community, you've got an invitation this month to try things on. If you put that dress on today, you don't have to wear it for the rest of your life. It might fit you perfectly today. You might grow out of it. But it's okay to try things on. And that might mean reaching out to different communities, reaching out in a different way to community. And you don't have to make any... I think with it being the Seven of Cups and it being about sort of choice and confusing choice, like you don't have to... I'd say you don't have to commit, but it's not quite a meaningless non-commitment. It's more of it is that invitation to try things on, try things out and see how they go. And if something doesn't fit, that's okay. You'll find something else that does fit eventually. I think that's what this card is telling us. Attraction then, what might attract us this month? So this might be people, energies. What is attractive to us this month? And look at this. This is revolution. It's Major Arcana 16, traditionally the Tower. And the Tower is about the old structures that need to come down, need to be torn down. And here we have a very definite, it's a climate protest camp, where we know that the structures that are destroying our planet do need to be torn down. So I'm just going to put that out there in whatever ways that we can. In terms of this being in a position of attraction then, it may be that this month, this is the first Major Arcana card in our reading, it may be that this month we are attracted to this idea of tearing things down, of actually things that are not working, and particularly things that are not fair, need to go. And we need to tear those structures down. So that can be about external things, it can be political structures, but it also can be our personal stuff as well, our beliefs and behaviours that are not serving. Major Arcana 16 sits after the Devil and before the Star. So it is a transition process of releasing limiting beliefs and behaviours and moving into a more authentic self. So Whether this is personal, whether this is communal, I think it's going to be a bit of both. It is time to refuse what is no longer working and to tear down some of those things that aren't working for us now. Now, I'm not saying that's a comfortable process. I do have to warn you that with the Tower energy, with Revolution energy, because there are things that have to go, and because it's can be a very sort of sudden or abrupt or total change, it can feel a bit uncomfortable. You know, revolution is a turning, and it can feel like you've been turned right around when this process is going on. But if you do find yourself in a revolution or Tower process this month, then just remember that this is about releasing those structures that no longer serve, the limiting beliefs, behaviors, narratives, ways of being, and moving into something that is more authentic, that has more integrity. And so if when you feel upheaval this month, just remember that this is all part of the process. And yes, you might be attracted to calling that kind of upheaval in. That also might be part of your process. Identity then. Who are we? How do we show up and how do we relate to our identity this month? Oh, look at this. That's another major arcana, and it's the Hermit. And 2025 is the year of the Hermit. So the numbers 2, 0, 2, and 5 add up to 9, which is the major arcana number of the Hermit. And so firstly, the Hermit is a very individual card. You can see this person there in their space. It's a space where they have what they need. So they have their candles and their plants set up. They have their phone, which gives them the connection that they want to the outside world. They have somewhere to sit. They have boots which they can put on and go out if they want. They've got a Rubik's Cube there, so puzzles to solve. So they have options. They're here by choice. And the Hermit can be about this kind of going into seclusion. I often see it as a card of meditation, so sort of meditating on your own. So there can be an aspect of that with the Hermit. So in this, because it's come up in this position of identity, I think it is a reminder that, you know, we choose our own identities, and identity is a very personal thing. We can identify with and do identify with groups of other humans. It's the way we're built, but also our own personal identity is something which belongs to us. It doesn't belong to anyone else. And so the Hermit is sometimes seeking and working things out. So we might be kind of certainly some of us will be in a process of seeking the space to meditate, to understand, to reflect on identity, who we are, before we go and sort of take that into the world. So, and it's also permission to do that. The other thing that I say about the Hermit, often the Hermit is represented by a person, a figure holding up a lamp. Now, that Hermit is holding up the lamp to see their own way forward, but in doing so, in shining a light in the darkness, they're also lighting a way forward, or if not lighting a way forward, certainly providing an orientation point for others. So as you seek your own identity and as you embrace your own identity, and our identities change throughout our lives, this is what it is to be human. And as you claim your current identity, it may be that even though you're doing that for you and your personal process, you may be lighting the way for others in some way as well. So it's a lovely card. It's one of my favorite major arcanas, and as I said before, it's the year of the Hermit, so this is a year for seeking inwards. And then finally, resources. I want to give us 2 resources, at least, that we can use. And the first of these is another major arcana card, and it's Temperance. So this sits very nicely actually with that King of Cups there. Temperance is about balance, about choosing not to kind of overreact. So we've got this reading, which is actually, we've got this fieriness and this attraction to revolution, to change, to pushing things, to making things different. At the same time, we've got the King of Cups sitting here, we've got the Seven of Cups and the Hermit sitting here, this very gentle and watery side. And the Temperance is kind of in that as well. So it is about striking a balance. There is water, there is flow there. We have this kind of person, this being with angelic wings. They're pouring a bottle away into the water. And of course, certainly in the past, temperance was a word which was used to represent abstinence, or perhaps the giving up of addictions. So the giving up of things that are not serving us. So we have this invitation here to actually, I think, to find balance between this need for, yes, we need creativity, we need passion, we do need some things to change, and we need to have choices, we need to hold space for ourselves and others, we need to have that reflection, time and space as well. We need to find balance. So this is an archetype that will be of use to you. This has come up in a position of resources, so this is a resource for you. I do have, as I mentioned, the daily tarot meditation ritual, so the set of meditations around the tarot. So if I were to prescribe a meditation from this reading, it might be to go and meditate with Temperance, or you could just sit with your Temperance card and meditate as well. That's definitely allowed, and it's one way to go. And then our second resource, I'm going to say this is not a final resource. Other resources will be available this month, and let's just set our intentions to be open to those. And if you have your own cards in front of you, you might even draw a card or two to represent your personal resources this month. But another resource which is available to us is the Seven of Wands. What a perfect balance to that Seven of Cups there. And again, this sort of fire and water combination. So I always see the Seven of Wands as being about how we, things can be challenging, but they're still within our capabilities, basically. And this Seven of Wands has lit 7 candles, those are the wands, to create a space and to claim a space. And behind them you can see a lot of sort of armed kind of riot police. Their faces, they're wearing helmets, they've got shields, they're in grey. But they're not centered in this card. The person centered in this card is the person who has intentionally created a space to center themselves and to make space for their sacred practice. And their sacred practice is about, it does involve this element of protest that's going on. So, part of living in relationship with the world and with other human beings is that we do have to act in integrity in the ways that we can. And that's what this person here is doing. Again, it's more wands. So that's more creativity, more fire, more passion. And I like the way it's come up. So, we've got this kind of fieriness over here and this wateriness and gentleness over here. But then these 2 resources at the bottom. The gentle energy of Temperance has come up on the fiery side of the spread, and the fiery energy of the Seven of Wands has come up on the watery, calmer side of the spread. So we have got a balance here, a real balance in the energies that are available to us. And if you see the figures in the cards, the way that they are looking at us, a lot of them are positioned similarly. So although there are at least two quite different kinds of energy here in this reading, there are two kinds of energy living in harmony, which is a reminder that, of course, we do not have to be the same to live in harmony. So, to summarize, then, in our position of love, we've got the Three of Wands, which is about, amongst other things, looking to the future. So, we have this invitation to look to the future with love and to use our knowledge and resources as we do that. In celebration, we've got the Four of Wands, which is an absolute yes, go to. If you want to celebrate this month, if you're feeling called to celebrate this month, then that is right. That energy is right and it's in the right place. For protest, we've got the King of Cups, this reminder that sometimes existing and caring for ourselves and insisting on our right to exist is protest enough. And that for those who are out here doing all the fiery stuff, to remember to come back, sit down and have a cup of tea now and then. We've got community, the Seven of Cups. So an invitation, I think, to try out and try on different things in our communities. There might be about something there about finding safe communities where we do feel that it's okay to try on and try out different things. We've got revolution in the place of attraction. So there definitely is this pull towards changing things, tearing down the old, making space for the newer and better. In identity, we've got the Hermit. So at the same time, creating space to reflect on and meditate with our identity. And if we look at these two together, they seem very different. This is very power claiming, not in a power over kind of way, but a power, equitable power claiming way. But very, very fast, very movementy card. This is a much stiller, gentler card, where about sort of inner power. And yet they work very well together. If we consider that sometimes as we tear things down, what comes into that space is a new identity. So there's a whole cycle going on here between Revolution and the Hermit, and both are true for us this month. And then resources, we've got Temperance and the Seven of Wands. So, claiming your space, claiming balance, and knowing that although there are going to be energy, things which ask for your energy this month, and which might feel like a lot, you do have the capability to deal with whatever you have to deal with. And there is balance available to us, and it's available to us very easily. So an invitation as well to claim space, be in your space, and don't give it up. So that's our reading for the month of June. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for joining me today. Remember, if you'd like a personal reading, you can find the link down below. And of course, remember to like, subscribe, and tick the bell for notifications. Until next time.